Come here, Truff. Come here. Come here. Introduce you. Introduce you. Okay, everybody. We are live. I know, Joan. Don't be jealous. I'm just introducing people. I know. Okay. I just want to make sure we're live here. We're live. Here we go. All right, everybody. Tony D, Little Joan, and special doggy guest. Oh, Jones, shut up. Well, yeah, come on. The special doggy guest is Truffle. Let me turn off my sound here so we're not echoing. Truffle is my brother and sister-in-law's doggo. As you can see, a little bigger than Joan. Joan's already jealous. Joan, don't be jealous. Joan's a good dog, too. So I'm dog sitting for a little while, and so I just wanted to introduce you to Truffle. So see a happy dog, another happy doggo to make your day. Joan, don't be jealous. Come on. Yeah, I'm putting her down. You want to get down? Okay, you get down too. Sorry, it's a bit chaotic here. I had to go pick Truffle up. Arden's here. Hey, Tony, let me see if I can't harass some of my fellow sultans of Châtelet to come by and say hi. That would be nice. Bezek. Joan is jealous as F. Yeah, she is. All right, guys, I give you plenty of treats. Everybody chill out, okay? Truffle, don't get in any trouble. I know you're walking around the house. No peeing in the house, Truffle. I've set up a proximity alarm in that corner, so do not pee there. Bezek, hello, and doggo friends. Yes, it's normally just one little doggo, but now it's two today. And so Joan is now in Truffle's carry bag, which this is the thing she gets mad about. When I take Joan over to their house, I bring her carry-on bag, and Truffle immediately has to get in it and rub herself all over it, and now that's exactly what Joan's doing. Joan, get out of there! That's not your carry-on bag. That's not nice. You hate when Truffle does that to you. Oh, jeez. And she's like deep in the bag. And I don't know where Truffle is. Hopefully Truffle, I think I picked up anything off the floor she might chew. Truffle's a little younger than Joan. All right. Sorry to get all doggy crazy. I'm a little bit, I literally just got in the door with Truffle, like literally 5 minutes ago. So I did some of my prep last night. And so we're talking Hollywoke hot take here. Gonna look at the trades. What else is going on? Just quickly for business. The Woodbury Public Library signing. Well, it wasn't really a signing. It was a Halloween party. So that was kind of cool. And then next week, I'll be at Classic Books in Trenton, New Jersey. So right on the border of North and South Jersey. And as we say in South Jersey, there is no Central Jersey. Some people will try to say there is. And it's just not true. And the reason for this is because people from North Jersey are terrible. But people from North Jersey often denigrate people from South Jersey. And so people kind of in the middle of the state don't know what to do. They've been sort of brainwashed into thinking we're bad. No, we're not bad. We're awesome. And we love pork roll. See, we have this breakfast meat we put in sandwiches. It's delicious. It's called pork roll. But people up north insist on calling it Taylor ham. And that's part of the division here. We have a little mini civil war here in New Jersey. There was actually a New Jersey separatist movement back in the 70s to divide the state into North and South, which is kind of funny for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's sort of that way anyway, sort of socially. People up north tend to associate with New York City, and people down south tend to associate with Philadelphia, and thus the sports teams and whatnot and the rivalry. But the interesting thing, too, historically, is before New Jersey was a state, it was a province of King George III, and it was split East and West Jersey. Not down the middle, but on a diagonal, so that west was mostly the south part of the state, and the north was mostly the east. So just a little history lesson for you. But we're going to get into Hollywood. And the big story is Halloween ends. Halloween ends. So I looked at the numbers last night, but they only had the numbers for Friday. So we should have the Saturday numbers. Yes, here we go. So 41,000 or 41 million is not bad, but they were predicting 50. So this has underperformed. I'm not surprised because if you look at the entire chart, first off, Halloween is not against anything. It doesn't look like. Arnett, welcoming Bezek to the chat. So the only other things that opened up this weekend, Till apparently opened, but only in 16 theaters, which really doesn't feel like an opening to me. I don't know why that movie isn't in every theater. Something called Decision to Leave? I think I've heard of that movie. It's opened in 3 theaters. Don't chew things, Truffle. Oh, now see, you're already caught up in a thing. Hold on, I got wires hanging. Better get them up. Better get them off the floor. Doggy's still exploring. Something called Cat Daddies? What the hell is Cat Daddies? In one theater. In one theater. I mean, you can't... I don't know why they release movies like this. It's ridiculous. So I guess Till doesn't really open until when? Next weekend? Next weekend it'll be in 3,000 theaters. I would imagine Till would open big. That's the movie about Emmett Till. That it would at least attempt to open it big. I don't think it'll do that well. I mean, it's kind of a depressing subject. It's not an awful concept or movie or, you know, because it's mostly about his mother sort of advocating after he died. So there's some sort of inspiration, you know, overcoming adversity kind of themes. So you'd think they put a little more oomph behind it. Arnett, Cat Daddies, is that that one theater, porn theater, and it turns out to be hentai cartoon? Ew. I don't know. I never heard of Cat Daddies. It does sound kind of porny. But yeah, Till could have actually given Halloween Ends a run for its money in terms of gross, because you got to figure they don't have a lot of crossover, right? Not a lot of crossover there. Horror fans versus, I don't know, I'll say people who like to see historical dramas, I guess. Arden says, I saw Apollosa last night. Likes it so much, I made a review for tomorrow. Oh, cool. Apollosa. Is that the Viggo Mortensen movie that I mentioned before that I can never remember the name of? Let me check. Get the IMDb open. I think that it sounds like it. Because I think that's the movie I did like. 2008. Yes, that's the Viggo movie. I did like this movie. It's about horses. I think. No? No, it's a different movie. It's a Western. That looks cool. Ed Harris and Viggo. Viggo's in it. I'm thinking of a different movie. Bezek, Cat Daddies. A heartwarming collective portrait of 8 unique men whose lives have been changed by the love of their cats. Bezek, some of these men will navigate the unprecedented challenges of 2020 with the help of these feline friends. Huh. Oh, might as well look up Cat Daddies while we're here. Ed Harris and Viggo. Yeah, this looks cool. I don't think I saw this movie. Bezek, looks to be about men and their cats. Yeah. Arnett, LOL. One for you, Bezek. Cat Daddies. All right, there it is. Nope. Hit the wrong thing. I mean, so dudes and their cats? I guess. Is it fiction? I think it's like a pseudo documentary, it looks like. Yeah. I mean, a documentary. Yeah, it is documentary. There it is there. Sorry, I'm just checking on these. I'm hearing crunching. You're eating Joan's food, but she hates that food anyway, so you're welcome to it, Truffle. I don't know. It feels a little... I mean, I like cats. I'm allergic to cats, but I like them. Ardent. Nah, it's a really good movie. I think you're thinking of Hidalgo. Yes, I was. That's the movie. I love Hidalgo. I think I'm one of the few people who liked it. Perhaps I just like Vigo in a Western. I definitely would like Appaloosa. Ardent. New dog? No, it's my brother and sister-in-law's dog. I'm dog sitting for a while. So, got to figure out how to get her on the seat with Joan. You guys being good, be good, okay? Don't eat anything I wouldn't. You liked Hidalgo. I thought it was fine. I mean, I just kind of liked the idea of the whole horse thing. It was fun, and I guess fun's really the wrong word. It was more like it was kind of just nice to see him advocate for the horses there because it made sense. You're one of the few, man. I remember going to see it, and I think I saw it with my movie clique. They hated it. And they're movie guys, so I was kind of shocked. And I'm not like a horse guy. I mean, I don't have anything against horses, but I don't know. I just like the way they were portrayed in the movie. So, but the Cat Daddies, doesn't the Cat Daddies movie documentary feel like, I don't know, they're trying to push, like, oh, here's some soy boys, and oh, we're going to give them attention, and I mean, I haven't seen it, but it's like, why don't they make one about guys and their dogs? Ardent, Omar Sharif and Viggo Mortensen, and they hated? Yeah, they didn't like it. They thought it was boring. I don't know. It's one of the times where, like, we came out of the movies and we were really in a disagreement. The other time was the remake of Solaris. Oh, God, I hated the remake of Solaris. I mean, they kind of didn't like it either. But, and we all saw the original one and we saw the remake. I mean, that remake is brutal. I just thought it was terrible. And you know what? The other thing, my cinematographer buddy hates. He likes the movie Gravity with Sandra Bullock. I hate that movie. I friggin' hate Gravity. Gravity, I think, sucked. It's absolutely one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's terrible. The physics in that movie is all wrong. Neil deGrasse Tyson will back me up on some of that. The physics are all wrong. It's terrible what they do in that movie. Sandra Bullock is just being Sandra Bullock. Another George Clooney movie. And Clooney the other day was, I don't know, crowing about Trump or something. Talking about how Trump's such a bad guy. Why don't you pick better scripts, George? Why don't you concentrate on your own career? Bezic, sounds spot on, Tony. Literally starts with Cat Daddy, hashtag bunch of empty millennials filling in the gap in their soul with kitty and social media. Yeah, like, see? Stay away from there, Truffle. That's not for you. That's where Joan used to pee. Good doggy. See, I got these proximity alarms to keep Joan. Joan was peeing in this spot in my house. And dogs, like, once they smell where they've peed, I don't know, they just think, oh, this is the place I pee, I guess. So I had to eventually, to get her to stop peeing there, I had to I bought these proximity alarms, so whenever anybody goes there, that's what happens. It makes a noise and scares them off. Yeah, like I think a cooler movie would have been for Cat Daddies. First off, Cat Daddies. The name is terrible. The name sounds like beta male energy, doesn't it? But imagine making a dog movie about guys living out in the woods, right? All independent, chopping wood, hunting with their dogs. Where's that movie? Where's the Dog Fathers? Tony's house is full of sci-fi proximity alarms. LOL. I can't even finish the gag. I had to do something. She just wouldn't stop peeing in that spot. I don't know what it was. I guess she peed. Joan is a very tiny dog, right? So if she goes in the house and I don't find it immediately, there's a good chance it just dries up and then I don't find it at all. Unless there's some residue. Unless the sunlight's hitting the floor just at the right spot and you can see, oh, Joan. So I guess it just, and I got wood floors, so that's not good either. It sinks into the floor a little bit. Ardent, sounds like toxic masculinity. Feet. Dogmen, yeah. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you do that? You're doing a bunch of guys with their phones taking pictures of their cats, and I like cats. I'm allergic to cats. I had a cat when I was a kid, but my cat was a scrapper. He'd wrestle you. And he'd run around like a maniac. As much as cats are fun, my cat was pretty fun. My brother has a cat as well. You notice I'm not watching the cat because cats are, the one upshot is you don't have to do anything for them, right? They're pretty self-sufficient. So, but the dogs, they need a friend. You okay there, Truffle? You all right? I know you're a little lost because you just literally walked into my house. Why don't you sit here with us? You sit here. Come on. Want to sit up here? Here, put the cushion. Here, cushion. There you go. Now watch Joan come over here. Let everybody see it. Oh, there's a good doggy. Okay. I think that'll work. Ardent, I don't mind cats, but I far prefer dogs. Bigger the better. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I guess that's not going to work. She's too big. Too big for the seat. Too big. Have to work something out. Yeah, I was more of a cat guy simply because of the care factor was so low for when I was younger, but Bezek, I like dogs. That's why I don't own one. LOL. Well, they do need a lot of kind of emotional support, and they do need way more attention than cats. So that's why for many years I was more of a cat guy because I didn't have to do a ton of work. But then my ex and I got a second dog, and then when we split, I kept Joan, and I really enjoy having a dog, and except for the occasional emotional breakdown. But other than that, I also I'm a big advocate of the smaller dogs now. I think if you have a big dog, like over a medium-sized dog, like Truffle's to me medium-sized. That's about a medium-sized dog. Still small enough you can pick up. Not too crazy. Not going to knock over much furniture. But if you have a German Shepherd or a Great Dane or something like that, you gotta have a yard, like a big yard for them to run around in. You have to. Big dogs need space, They need space. They need it. If you have a farm, yeah, that's when you get. I have a neighbor. He just got 3 Labrador puppies. Probably the most beautiful dogs I've seen. They're only 3 months old. They're going to be huge. You can tell by their paws. And chocolate brown, black, and beige. Beautiful pups. But they're going to be huge. Now, his yard, I I don't think it's fenced in the back. It's definitely not fenced in the front. He's really got to do a lot of work. LOL, take the 13th Warrior approach. Big dogs picking up. Grow stronger. I don't know, man. I mean, my friend had a Mastiff. And if you've ever seen those dogs, they're just they grow ginormously. And when it was a puppy, it was so great. But within months, hold on, I'm blowing up. Within months, it had just ballooned. And I said, don't let that thing sit on your couch. Don't let that thing sit on your couch. You'll never get that couch back. And then that became its spot. It was so big, it would sprawl across a 3-person couch and take up the whole thing. This was so big. Being asked if the dogs are getting along. Yes. Labs are wonderful. Yes, they are. Oh, they're so great. Such great dogs. They have very similar personality, I think, to Joan, who's very much like that. Just very happy. Ardent, Newfoundlands are similar size to Mastiffs. You really need to know how to handle them. Yeah, that's the other thing, too. You know, if Joan gets out of hand, back in the day, I think she bit me one time when she was a puppy. No big deal. A Mastiff hauls off and bites you. Even like a 6-month-old, you could have a pretty nasty bite on your hands. So you have to, you have to train your dog. You really do. Even the little dogs, you have to train them, But at least if I mess up and Joan poops somewhere, it's a tiny little poop. Even Truffle. I think Truffle's... Oh, Truffle, you got cushions. What are you sitting on the floor for? She looks a little depressed. It's all right. Oh, she already misses my brother and sister-in-law. She thought... she didn't realize she was coming along with me. She likes me, though, so it's fine. She just needs a day to get into it. Anyhow, getting back to movies. And the numbers. So yeah, Halloween Ends. I mean, it's not up against anything, really. Look at this list of movies it's up against. The only thing that's kind of competition is Smile. And Smile is essentially a low-budget horror movie. Looks creepy as F. Not my kind of movie because a woman slits her own throat in it. That's a little too much for me. But doing well. I mean, we're in the second week here. Still at number 2, 12 million. It's already made 71. No, we're in the third week. 71 million it's made. That's probably cash money, right? For a movie like that. Probably didn't cost more than... I can't imagine that movie cost more than 30 million. So that's definitely a win for the guys who made it. It's Paramount. What is it? Paramount something. It's Paramount Pictures. Oh, Paramount Pictures. That's an abbreviation for it. Yeah. So, but compare that to Halloween Ends. I mean, Halloween Ends, they spent some real money on that movie. They got Jamie Lee Curtis in it in all 3 movies. Not going to come cheap. She's essentially the star they're banking on. They're banking on her star power. Michael Myers, and they've got some... I mean, it looks expensive. It looks way more expensive than the earlier versions of Halloween. This is the 3rd movie. Now, maybe they saved some money. I think they kind of shot them all together. Right? It looks like they did. I would guess that would be the cheap way to do it, right? Instead of shoot... Uh-oh. Don't freak out, dogs. I know, you hear noises outside. The cheap way to do it would be to shoot like Back to the Future. I think they shot 2 and 3 together. So, Bezek, LOL, Smile grossing more in 3 weeks than The Woman King in 5. Yeah. Yeah. Woman King. Come on. That wasn't going to work. Just wasn't going to work. It could have worked. Well, it could have worked. But even so, even if you had done that movie right, and the way to do that movie, so the fifth week for that, the way to do that movie would have been this like movie about an epic battle where the women decide to defend their country, but you know going into it they're all going to die, and they do, and they lose, but it's like this amazing sacrifice, right? You could portray them as heroic in their sacrifice. They try. They have no choice but to try to save their country, kingdom, whatever. Even though there's all this corruption, even though they're into slavery too, like you would have made, to me, you would have made the king a bad guy. Like he's basically throwing them under the bus. Like you would have made this big heroic thing instead of kind of, I don't know. It looks to me like they sort of kind of win, but they don't. I don't know. I'm not gonna go see it. It's another woke movie. So you could have made that movie work, but it's the marketing that really drove me away. That's what drives me away from a lot of movies. If you're gonna market something, be honest about your marketing. You're gonna be dishonest and lie to me, or give the whole movie away. There's no reason to see it. If I sense the dishonesty, or if I sense you're pushing the movie too hard. It's one of the movies too. They pushed it a little too hard. I always talk about Sliver. Like they pushed that movie too hard. I was gonna go see it. I kind of wanted to see Sharon Stone because she's super hot. And I was like, I guess I'll go see this movie. And then, man, it was relentless. The advertising was relentless. I kept seeing the trailer over and over again until finally I said, you know what? Screw this movie. I'm not seeing it. And I'm glad I didn't because I hear it's a terrible movie. And why do you want to give these people your money? Think about what you're buying. So, Halloween ends. You know, I love the first movie. Second movie's probably okay. I vaguely remember it. The third movie's kind of cool. Everything after that, I don't know why they're making it. Other than a money grab. So, and another thing too with Halloween Ends, when they used to make these movies, there would always be one actor they would throw in the mix, like Donald Pleasance, who was in the original Halloween, right? Veteran actor, definitely on point, who could really carry any scene he's in. You know, like a Max von Sydow kind of character or kind of actor who has so much gravitas, has so much acting ability, even though it's B-movie stuff, although I think John Carpenter elevated it in the first one. You have a guy in there to kind of anchor it, who is such a good actor that he elevates the entire movie just because he's in it, you know? Like, I was thinking this the other day. Like, if you put Patrick Stewart in this movie, right? And Patrick Stewart, quite frankly, I'm very disappointed in him and the whole Picard thing. And, you know, he seemed to be going off into, like, oh, I'm going to go back into plays and Broadway and that kind of thing. He was doing that for a while, and then he comes back to do Picard, and I'm just like, come on, man. He's too good for that role. Even when Picard was good, he was too good for that role. Like, then you got to come back and do Picard. And I was just like, God, how much money do you need, dude? But he deserved to be in Halloween Ends. Like, if they recast Donald Pleasance and brought in Patrick Stewart to play his role, right? I don't know. I think he dies, though, maybe in one of them. I don't remember. It's been so long. But the actor, Donald Pleasance, is dead. But, like, bring his character back, played by Patrick Stewart, right? And you put him in Halloween Ends, would have elevated the whole movie, right? Would have given you, you know, that gravitas. But, although I think he sort of gave away some of his credibility by being in Picard. Feels like such a money grab. Or just some veteran actor, some older guy to run around and go, Michael Myers is evil. Now, I guess because Jamie Lee Curtis is old, they're banking on her, but she doesn't have that gravitas. She was the hot chick in the original Halloween. The hot chick who survives. You can't make her they made her the veteran, but you know what I mean? You need somebody who's just an amazing actor. And that's what they would do with these B movies. They'd find some guy who's a really good actor, veteran actor, and they'd throw him in there because he needs a paycheck. The movie needs to be elevated. And even if the movie was terrible, 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 at least his scenes would be very watchable. You'd be riveted. When you watch Donald Pleasance in Halloween 2, the movie's not great, but Donald Pleasance is okay, I'm listening to what he's saying. Michael Myers is bad. Oh, this is bad. So I'm not sure who's in Smile. I didn't think I really saw any older actors, but this was a thing in Hollywood. You'd always have at least one veteran actor to kind of anchor it. Now they kind of, the two movies I did trailers for yesterday, they're both just full of hipsters, and it's not one old guy in the group. Now one's a comedy, old comedians, not as crucial, but you could have one of the old comics come out and do something outrageous. For Bar Fight, it'd be great to have, I don't know, somebody from Cheers in it or something like that, or some comedian, just some stand-up guy, someone I don't know, who's an older comedian that would be funny to put in there. I don't know, Jeffrey Ross or somebody like that. Just to jazz it up, but and then looking at the rest of this weekend, bleh, Lyle Crocodile, week 2. It's a kids movie. It's in a lot of theaters though, 4,350 theaters. Wow. Yeah, it's doing okay, I guess. I mean, I don't know how much it costs to make. It's got some CGI. $22 million? Is that making any money? Probably not. Doesn't feel like that's enough. Woman King at 59. That movie looks big. It looks like they spent some money on that movie. I would think that's not even the budget. I think that budget would be somewhere in the 50 to 100 million range. I don't know. It's Sony. Number 5, you got Amsterdam. Disappointing. This movie cost 80 to 100 million, they said. 80 to 100 million. Now, there's a lot of period stuff in it. You got Christian Bale and Margot Robbie. Plus all the period stuff. That's a shame, because that movie looked cool. I still kind of want to see it. But, man, it's only made $11 million. 11.9 in 2 weeks. That is not good. That is not on its way to breaking even at all. To make 80 million, you're gonna have to run this thing till 2024, till Trump's back in office. And even then, I don't think it would make money. And then 6, you got Don't Worry, Darling, which I'm glad this movie didn't do well, but it didn't do as bad as that. It's at 42 million. F Olivia Wilde. Olivia Wilde in Cowboys versus Aliens is just so god awful in my view. And that movie's a god awful film in my opinion. Just god awful. And she's terrible in that context. You know how terrible you have to be as an actress to be the worst person in a terrible movie? It just boggles the mind. I was watching that movie hoping it would be good. And I'm just like, oh, this sucks. God, this sucks. And then, I don't know, Olivia Wilde comes in. I guess she's in the first act at some point. And I'm just like, who the hell is this? Why is she even in this movie? Who is she? Who is she to be this terrible? It was what's her name? Tanya Roberts level of acting. Remember her? Hot blonde in a Bond movie, and I think there was like some kind of female Tarzan movie she was the lead in. Ardent, it makes me happy to see this woke stuff failing, especially when they go after my fellow countryman, Jordan Peterson. Speaking of, you should do a trailer reaction for The Last Amendment. I haven't seen that trailer. Okay. I take request. So, Last Amendment it is. I'll do that one later today. Yeah, me too. It's good to see these guys fail, but it's just confounding to see them continue to greenlight them and then continue to fail again. I mean, I think anyone could have told you that after Olivia Wilde directed Booksmart, and Booksmart basically bombed. Let's see how much money that movie made. It's got its own website. Oh. Let's see. Booksmart. Worldwide box office 24 million. Now, did it cost that much? Maybe. I don't know. They seem to pimp it pretty hard. But 24 million is not a big gross. I mean, if the movie cost 5 million, that would be okay. But I gotta think it cost more than that. I gotta think it maybe broke even. Maybe it was a $10 million film. 20. That would be pretty low for by Hollywood standards. But still, you give her "Don't Worry, Darling." That had to be 50 to 100 million at least. At least it's probably closer to what Amsterdam did, because that was a period piece too. It has Chris Pine in it. You got Harry Styles. Harry Styles doesn't come cheap. No way. A guy like him, what's the name? Pugh. What's her name? Something Pugh. Who? It's my running gag with her. I keep saying who. Yeah, it's like it had pretty big stars, and they pushed the hell out of "Don't Worry, Darling." I don't see why. It looked terrible. The trailer, just nothing. The trailer is just a tease into what? And then she announces the whole Jordan Peterson thing? What the hell is that? Did she expect that to do anything? Like, the first thing that's going to do is piss off every Jordan Peterson fan. Literally millions of people are like, you what? You based him after Jordan Peterson, and that's your sense of him, and he's a jerk? Screw you. Who the hell would want to, what Jordan Peterson fan wants to support that movie? None of them do. The only reason they would go to it is the goof on it, and that's not a big audience, by the way. There's no way that's a big audience. You know, I do this stuff. I refuse to go see these movies most of the time. I'm not gonna blow $15 going into movies just to rank on a movie I know is gonna be total S. Don't Worry, Darling. I mean, watch the trailer. Tell me you want to see that movie. For what? The clothes? Maybe. I mean, for Olivia Wilde, who puts herself in it too. I don't know. I just don't get. Hollywood is so desperate, I guess, to hire female directors. I mean, look at the Charlie's Angels movie, right? Elizabeth Banks. Yeah, it was Elizabeth Banks. Oh, it's going to be this great thing. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, it's female empowerment. Tanks. What'd that movie make? Let's see. Last Charlie's Angels movies. Charlie's Angels. Get the right one. $2019. Wow. Look at this. The domestic on Charlie's Angels. 17 million. That is a failure right there. Because you know that movie they spent money on. Plus you got Kristen Stewart. Top of the box office. Kristen Stewart. Maybe not so much anymore, but certainly when they made this movie 3 years ago. International box office, 55 million. So at least they recouped some of their money. So you got a 73 worldwide. But I bet. Let's see, they have the budget. Now they're saying 48 million. Wow, they did have the production budget, 48 million. But again, I think you could easily double that with the advertising. So I think that's probably a break even, close to a break even situation. Definitely didn't do well. Bezek, oh yeah, Charlie's Angels. What made that successful on TV in the old movie? Who cares? I'll tell you exactly what made it successful on TV, because there were hot chicks in it. Period. End of sentence. I used to watch that show back in the 70s. We all used to watch it because it was like, ooh, Charlie's Angels is on. I want to see Charlie's Angels. We didn't care what the plot was. It was just like, the Angels go undercover in a bikini contest. That's the kind of show it was. All it was titillation. That's it. That's the entire show. And then, like, at the end of the show, they'd be running after some criminal, and they'd tackle him. Ardent, LOL, boobs. Exactly. And they'd tackle him, and you'd be like, yeah, I'd like to be tackled by her. It was the hottest women on television at the time. Ardent, Bill Murray was a damn good Bosley. Bill Murray's damn good in everything. And they're going after him. I've been talking about that in Hollywoke Hot Take. They are going after Bill Murray hard. All right, so they canceled his movie. Some young actress said he sexually harassed her, basically. I mean, touched her inappropriately or whatever. And the whole thing got shut down. Now, Seth Green came out of the woodwork to say that Bill Murray not sexually harassed him, but held him up by his ankles when he was 9 and dropped him into a trash can, which I think is pretty funny because I can't stand Seth Green as a rule. And then another story came out. Somebody else piled on. It just feels like a pile on now. I think part of the problem is Bill Murray apologized to his co-star. And I keep saying this, and it's like I lived it's like I lived in the past, and no one in Hollywood will acknowledge their own past. So actors typically, if they have a role, Ardent, LOL, Bill Murray's a beast, and Green probably had it coming. Well, he was 9 at the time, so maybe Bill Murray was a little too rambunctious, but I still think it's funny as hell. I'll guarantee you that's a story that Seth Green used to tell fondly, right? It used to be like, oh, Bill Murray dropped me in a trash can one time, ha ha ha. And now I think he's telling it like, like, oh, he's meanie. Ardent, yeah, you never apologize. Yeah, you can't anymore. It's just a sign of weakness, in my opinion. This is all my opinion, by the way, YouTube. Bezek, I thought the industry learned the lesson in the 90s. Baywatch. We don't need hot chicks. We can write TV. Good TV. Yeah, how did Baywatch nights go? That was one of the most hilarious shows. I had a friend who just absolutely loved that show, and he would laugh his A off talking about it all the time. And I just wouldn't watch it. I just like, this show's I'm not going to watch Baywatch Nights. I used to laugh about it too, but I wouldn't watch it because it was just a ridiculous concept. But that was them trying to do Baywatch X-Files, basically. But so Bill Murray is in this movie with a young actress, and I'm not sure if she's the love interest, because he's getting pretty old. I think he's dying. I think that's part of the movie. Ardent, Baywatch Nights wasn't even as good as Raven, the Hawaii set ninja one with Lee Majors. I don't think I remember that one. Raven. Bezek, YouTube ate my comment about Kristen Stewart. Let's try again. Oh, sorry, I have the top chat on. Hold on. I do this every week. Gotta put live chat on. There we go. Sorry. JEC's not here to remind me. Let me go back and see what you said about Kristen Stewart. Here it is. How do we get men to watch this? Hot chicks hires Kristen Stewart. Well, Kristen Stewart could be hot. She could be. She's got a great body. She's in shape. She's young. And back in the 80s, oh my God, she would have worked out and gotten super tight. And would have wore the tiniest of bikinis because she's so thin. Instead, they butched up her hair and tried to make her, I don't know, action star. Ardent, almost nobody remembers Raven, Tony. I'm not surprised. Yeah, I really don't remember that show at all. It was Lee Majors. I used to love the Fall Guy. Fall Guy I loved. Also with, I guess that was Heather Locklear. Heather Thomas or Heather Locklear? One of the Heathers. Super hot. Another reason to watch the show. That's why guys watch TV. Half the time we were like, oh, there's hot chicks in this. I'm going to watch this. I didn't care the show sucked. I didn't care that the Baywatch was the dumbest show ever. Even I watched some of Baywatch. Well, it was a little too stupid for me. I could watch Charlie's Angels. I was younger. By Baywatch time, I was becoming more of a movie snob, TV snob. Yeah, it was the Fall Guy, Heather Locklear. Yeah. Oh, so hot back then. Absolutely stunning. Put the bikini pic right up top in the credit sequence in the beginning. Oh, boy. So, Bill Murray has this scene, I guess, where he's getting chummy with a co-star, or maybe it wasn't a scene, maybe it was rehearsal, whatever it was. But typically, and Bill Murray is old school hippie guy. Typically, though, actors, and if you've done any acting, even me in improv, I've done these weird acting exercises where you have to touch your scene partner and you do body movements. You're supposed to make a machine and you're touching each other and it's mildly uncomfortable. Bezek, I often say Baywatch is best watched on mute. Yeah, it's not bad on mute. You don't have to hear Hasselhoff sing. So you get kind of touchy-feely with your co-stars. And if you're doing a movie or play or TV show or whatever with a co-star and your love interests and you're like a couple in the show, typically what happens. The actors become a couple. Why? Because a lot of times the actors just have sex with each other. Because that's a way to instantly get the physical rapport with the other actor. Now, is that for everybody? Obviously not. But some actors are very method, number one. A lot of them aren't married, or even if they are, they're in a situation where their wives are okay with that. Well, I got to play this role, honey, and I'll be much better if I've already had sex with my female co-star. And a lot of the women are okay with it too. And it's very hippie. It's a very hippie thing to do. I'm not saying anybody should do it involuntarily. I'm saying it's a thing that is done in acting. Ardent, LOL, I still haven't successfully repressed the memory of Hasselhoff singing at the Berlin Wall when it fell. So, Bill Murray is certainly from that era of acting. And, okay, if the young female co-star hasn't gotten on board with that and maybe he crossed the line. Maybe. I doubt it because he's been around so long, but who knows? It could be a situation where Bill Murray has banged so many of his co-stars, he just assumed going into it would not be a big issue, and he's older now. He doesn't realize how old and kind of decrepit looking he's looking, and that a female wouldn't just immediately throw herself at him. Maybe. Because, I mean, think about being a star that big. These women literally throw themselves at other, famous people like that. They just literally do. And again, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not encouraging women do this, but it gives you sort of insight into the head of a guy like Murray. So maybe he crossed the line, or maybe he's just doing what he normally does and she got bent out of shape, or maybe she saw a moment to, I'm going to jack up my career by taking out Bill Murray. I don't know. But now it feels like everybody's piling on Bill Murray. This is our chance. This is my chance to take out Bill Murray and talk about what an a-hole he was or get some work. Like, when's the last time you saw Seth Green in anything? Has been a while, I think. I haven't seen him. Ardent, for reference, if you're interested, Raven, American TV series from Wikipedia. Free encyclopedia redirected from Raven, 1992. 1992. Bezek, reminds me of the story we covered Saturday on Sultans with the actress accusing Marilyn Manson. Yeah, and he's fighting that in court. That's another guy. I mean, you're talking about rock star? That guy is a rock star. I mean, not for nothing. Like, I get it. Some guys are just, they're rapey, but I mean, when you got women throwing themselves at you, especially rock stars. I mean, you hear the stories of, I used to read the stories about Van Halen, David Lee Roth. I mean, they had a system where they pick girls out of the audience just to come backstage and have sex with them. And it was never an issue because those girls wanted to have sex with the band. And they were of age. And they were just hot chicks that, okay, we're going to take them backstage, and we're going to bang them, and they're going to feel great, and everybody's going to get drunk and high and have a good time. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but all adults. But now there's this other element of like, ooh, now I can cash in. Now I can write a book about how, Louis C.K. lured me into his hotel room and did horrible things to himself or whatever. Bezek, child of two actors, divorced parents, homeschooled in L.A., plays multiple films, a sexually active teen sleeping with older men, honestly sounds groomed into stupid behavior with Manson. Maybe. LOL, saw a pic of Madonna today when she did start looking like Marilyn. When did she start looking like Marilyn Manson? A little bit a while ago. She's just had too much surgery, I think. Plus, sometimes, like, some of these actresses, it's usually the actresses, have way too much cosmetic surgery. But at first, it doesn't look that bad. But then after a few years, it looks really bad. Ardent, Louis C.K. did nothing wrong. Agreed. He's weird. I'll say that. He's a weirdo. But I don't think he crossed any line. Well, he did cross a line, but, Bezek, actually not specifically with Manson, but taught by a role that risky behavior is acceptable. Look, I don't fault, a young girl for, some girl in her 20s has some wild night or two. Like, I can see it. Again, not a great idea, but everybody does stupid stuff when they're in their 20s. And in high school and in college or whatever. But now to do something stupid like that and say, oh, none of that's on me. It's on these predator men. Nah. Okay? There's more to it. Okay? It takes two to tango. It takes two to F that up. Yes, there are women who are accosted and sexually harassed or raped or whatever, and that's terrible, but to completely ignore the other side of that, in which some women get in over their head, they realize, oh God, I didn't want to have sex with this guy, now I regret it, now I'm mad that he's not my boyfriend or whatever, I'm going to put the screws to him. This is why we have to have some semblance of a justice system to neutrally investigate things, and why we have to cool your jets until the verdict's in, at least. Ardent, remember Julie Newmar on According to Jim? She looked more like a cat than ever with all the work she had done. Oof. Bezek, the accusation about Louis C.K. are wild, and they never accused him of doing anything without consent. Yeah, he didn't lock him in a hotel room. Again, he's kind of a weirdo, but you know, he wasn't their boss. He wasn't, and the argument is like, well, he's so famous. So what? He still didn't lock the hotel room. He wasn't their boss. They were free to leave whenever. So, just complaining that he had power because he's rich. Yeah, Bezek. Yeah, again, I think he's weird. And, but, he sort of called their bluff by just putting all his cards on the table, and seemed to work out for him a bit. So now he's sort of back, and I'm getting his emails again, and he's got projects and whatnot. I don't know if he's making any money, but he kind of made his money already. I mean, assuming he's good at managing his dough. And even before he became big time, Louis C.K. was working in the business, semi-regularly. Ardent, agreed, weirdo, not attacker. Yeah. So, it's... And I don't know. It annoys me that somebody like Bill Murray, who, and I'm defending him, I'm biased towards him, I'll totally freely admit that, but the guy has never had that reputation at all. But you look at a guy like Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein, they were making jokes about him on television about his behavior. Everybody knew it was like the worst kept secret in Hollywood. Same thing with Bill Murray, or not Bill Murray, Bill Cosby to a certain extent. So I think there's a world of difference there. And the problem with the media is they won't parse those nuances. So it just frustrates me. So now it feels like a pile on, and I really hate people who are going to do that. Like, oh, you got a chip on your shoulder, Seth Green, about Bill Murray because of something that happened. But I don't know. It just annoys me. Anyhow, getting off of that. How many more to say about the box office? Let's see here. Barbarian, another movie that's basically another horror movie. I think it's just... The only thing about Barbarian, I think it's a weirdly named movie. It doesn't feel like the right title. Bros still hanging in there with less than $1 million in week 3. Happy to see that go down the tubes. Happy to see Billy Eichner get just absolutely roasted online. He deserves the fail in my view. So annoying to me. And on the opposite side of that is Jim Parsons doing a gay rom-com movie, and it's more of a gay love story, I guess. And looks perfectly good in the trailer. He's not screaming that you're a homophobe not for going to see it. He's just made the damn movie and made it as best he could, seemingly. I mean, he's not making the movie. Eichner was probably more invested in Bros, but it's like night and day in the presentation. I haven't seen Parsons really do a lot of PR for it, but I'm surprised it's not getting a lot of press, but I don't think it's come out yet. Number 9, The Terrifier 2 in 700 theaters. This is the movie they're saying that's so disgusting and gross. People are vomiting in the theaters. That's how they're pimping it. I mean, good timing. It actually moved up from week 2, from week 1. So it's up 6%. Word's getting around. I wouldn't see this movie simply because I don't like super gross movies like this. It's about an evil clown. I don't know. He comes back to life and starts murdering people again. It looks like something that what's his face would have been in if he was still alive. The guy that Rob Zombie used to use. You know the guy. I mean, I can't think of his name. He played an evil clown. And then Top Gun Maverick, still at number 10. Week 21. It's a beast. 715 million. That's a movie. That's real box office right there. Rest of the stuff's a disgrace for the most part. Minions, still hanging in there at 11. 368 million. That definitely made money, I think. Bullet Train at 103. Sid Haig, yeah, that's who I was trying to think of. Welcome, JEC. I was wondering where you'd get here. Bullet Train, DC League of Pets. Tar, it's only made $500,000. Oof. I mean, that's pretty low, even for an art house movie. That's definitely, I don't think that's profit territory at all. It didn't look awful, but it's in more theaters. It's still only in 36 theaters. Bezic, amazing what you can do, what you can achieve when you just set out to make a good movie. Yeah. Triangle of Sadness, that also looked interesting, up 57%, now in 31 theaters. I think these movies were only like in 10 theaters last week. So they haven't even cracked 1 million. It's like, I even put it out if it's that low. Meanwhile, See How They Run, sadly going down the tubes. Sam Rockwell, at 9.3 million. Another movie I wanted to see. I still haven't seen it. I know. But look good. All right. Getting out of the box office. Let's see what else is in the trade. Saturday Night Live opens with January 6th committee parody. Oh boy, won't that be funny, everybody? For the millions of people who didn't see the January 6th committee parody hearings. Oh, I bet you can't wait to see a parody of that with Liz Cheney being awesome, right? Because that's who everybody in the Democratic Party likes now, in the Republican Party. Liz Cheney, one of the Cheneys. Unreal. Sad. Just sad. Jack Harlow to host SNL and perform double duty as musical guest. Who the hell's Jack Harlow? I don't even know this guy. No idea. For the Halloween episode of SNL on October 29th. That doesn't sound like a good Halloween guest. I mean, that sounds like it should have been... I mean, the perfect thing would have been to get Jamie Lee Curtis there and have her promote Halloween. Bezic, a parody. I thought it was already a joke. Yeah, sad. Ardent, LOL, the Republicans love Tulsi and the Dems love Cheney. I know. Tulsi's okay, though. At least Tulsi's kind of honest, seemingly. Not totally insane. Ardent, Jack Harlow. I don't know him either, but a man in a dress comes to mind for some reason. Yeah, that's the new thing now. Brad Pitt just came out in a dress the other day saying that it's exhausting being so masculine or something like that. Like, what? Why would you say that? Why would you wear a dress? Why woke say that? It's woke-tarded. I don't know what he's trying to do, but I mean, that just like, as soon as he said that, I'm like, I gotta really rethink if I'm gonna see any of your movies now, Brad. I really have to rethink that. Do I really want to see this guy? Do I really want to support some guy who's gonna? Because I don't believe for a second that he cares one way or another. I think it's just a virtue signal. You know, he got together with his publicist. Oh, it'd be great if you wore a dress. You know, everyone's talking about that. Oh, everybody would be talking about it, Brad. Ardent, I mean, I might put on a kilt, but never a dress. Yeah, sure, kilt. That's different. But a dress? Come on, man. Is this something you got some kind of money tie in to some sort of line of dresses for men that you think is going to sell? I mean, Harry Styles, I sort of get his strategy because a lot of his fans are female and they're woke as F. You know, a lot of white female college students who are like, oh, it's so progressive to wear a dress if you're a man. Even though none of those women will date a guy who does that. They'll be immediately like, oh, you're wearing a dress? That's so progressive. Hey, you want to go out sometime? No, I'll go have sex with a real man, but good for you. LOL or He-Man's Furkini. It's like, yeah, it's such a virtue signal. I don't think that headline is still here. Let's see what else is going on in Variety. JEC, Harry Styles fans are like teenagers. Yeah, it's like the Justin Bieber fans a few years ago. Ah, he's so hot. Like, grow up. Grow up. He's not that good. You're just going... I mean, it'd be like back in the day, Lita Ford was this, like, hot female... I mean, and she wasn't bad, you know, in terms of music, I guess. You know, she was like a hot female... like heavy metal star, I guess you'd say, like light metal, not super heavy metal, but she had big boobs in there. You know, she'd be hot and she'd be on the cover of her albums. Bezic, Harry Styles fans are teenager. He's now old enough and that's creepy. Oh wow, you both said they're like teenagers. Ardent retracted his statement and said what he said. Oh, that's funny. Great minds. Yeah, teenagers is a good way to say it. Let's check over to the Hollywood Reporter. Oh, look. It's the same damn headline. Same damn picture. Halloween ends. It's like, guys, at least use a different picture. Ardent. Lita Ford was very sexy back in the day. Yeah. Yep, that's what. Did I say Lita Ford? I don't remember if I said Lita Ford already. Let's see what's going on here. Corsage wins top prize in London Film Festival. Haven't heard of that movie. She-Hulk actor John Bass talks that twisty season finale becoming an MCU villain. Oh boy. That's big news, isn't it? JC, my buddy's 13-year-old daughter made him wait outside a theater for like 7 hours so she could meet Harry Styles. Yeah, my niece loves Harry Styles. I bought her one of those pillow covers that you like swipe it one way, it's like all silvery, and you swipe it the other way, it's Harry Styles' face. So that's her like band, right? She's a teenager, so she loves him. That makes sense. You know, if you're a teenager, I don't begrudge that, but grown women, your poor buddy, yes. Yeah, not a tremendous amount of news. There's Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman going to be in the Deadpool movie. That'll be fun. It'll be good to see him again as Wolverine. He looks just like him. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. He looks just like Wolverine. I mean, it's just no getting around it. It's, you know, Ben Affleck, as much as I don't really like his Batman, he really does look like Bruce Wayne. Bezek, not a fan of anything a film festival likes. They keep giving awards to stuff like Cuties or the 2020 Android Lolita Pedo film. What one was that? Oh, is that the new one, Megan? Or is that something else? Oh, wait, no, I know the movie you're talking about. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that looks creepy. That looks creepy. Yeah. It's like, what? Really? We're doing this? You're going to start pushing robot sex dolls that look like little girls? That seems not a good thing. Gross. But another movie called Megan where the android is like a 13-year-old girl, but it's supposed to be the friend of another little girl. Um, but it's still kind of creepy in that, aren't it? The Trouble with Being Born. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Yeah. But the Megan movie, the weird thing about that is there's a scene in it, and it's in the trailer, where the Megan, she's an android, and she goes berserk and eventually starts killing people. But there's a scene in it where the girl teaches the android to dance, so the android takes that as a cue to dance during certain moments, I guess. And so there's a moment where she's chasing a guy with a knife and she stops to dance. But the dance, I mean, it's obviously a small actress doing the role, I guess. But the dance is a little too sexual, and the character is supposed to be a 13-year-old, and I don't know. It's a little creepy. But then again, that's a horror movie, so Bezek message retracted. Is YouTube doing that, or you guys are doing that? Ardent, yeah, this shite is creepy as F. Just more playground pursuer propaganda. Bezek, Trouble with Being Born, 10-year-old with CGI nudity. No. What the hell? No, thank you. Oh, and this was, I gotta talk about this again. The Rings of Power. Bezek, like, not a fan of criminalizing anything created, but CG based on a real person is crossing a serious line. LOL, fixing spelling. Oh, okay. Yeah, the whole thing's just creepy. Ardent, LOL, no, at Bezek, probably said something spicy. No, correcting his spelling. Yeah, it's like, that's ever since they did like I remember back in the day they did an SVU special on how people were using the de-aging. They took the aging software for, I guess, Photoshop or something, where they'd age suspects' pictures by like 20 years when they're looking for a suspect, and they reverse engineered it so they can make basically CP from pictures of older women, which I assume is an advanced technology at this point. Ardent, he's one of my friends, so it's not a surprise. A JEC, I'm all for free speech, but I draw the line at pedo stuff. Yeah, it's not free speech because I think it's harmful. I think that's the metrics there. If it's harmful, I think we could all agree that it's harmful for everyone. So, no to that. But speaking of harmful, Rings of Power, showrunners break silence on backlash Sauron in season 2. Yeah. Can you imagine that these people, what they're thinking on making a season 2? There's no way they can fix this show. No way. Nope. If this show could turn into Breaking Bad and people still wouldn't watch it. It could turn into first season Game of Thrones. There's no way that people are going to watch it. Nope. I don't think you could pull out of a dive. The only show that sort of kind of did that was Next Generation Star Trek, right? But that was only because there was a writer's strike. And people were willing to go, okay, there was a writer's strike. Now it's over. All the shows were terrible. So we can overlook it now. Give it another chance. Now that the real writers have come in and they're doing the shows. And yes, that I think is the exception to the rule. I don't think there's any way you can pull out of this dive, Amazon. I think you're just throwing good money after bad. Unless the whole point is to do that for some sort of tax write-off, which could be possible. I mean, Amazon is that big. Amazon is that big that this could be worth the tax write-off. Bezek, how is it even possible to make something that bad with $1 billion? You'd think a rank amateur would be able to find enough talent for that much. Yeah. There's not a single recognizable actor in that entire thing except for the Harfoot leader, Lenny what's-his-face. He's the only recognizable guy. With that kind of money, you could literally get pretty much anybody you wanted. Pretty much anybody in Hollywood would have come out to be in this thing. And just got a bunch of unknowns. It just boggles the mind. You could have got, if you're going to get unknowns, you could have gotten unknowns who were like, every one of them would be built amazingly. Like every guy would just be absolutely ripped. Every girl would just be gorgeous beyond belief. Instead, it's just, where'd the money go? I don't know where the money went. Ardent, the tax write-off angle makes a disturbing kind of sense. Lenny Henry, yes, that's right. Yeah, they get the tax write-off, and then they get some ESG points that they're looking to get, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe BlackRock dumps some money on Amazon. I mean, BlackRock is so obscenely huge, you know, in terms of its value. I don't know if they throw money around like that, but maybe. Bezek, like even the costumes in CG are awful for that much. Yeah. They're just busy. I like the costuming. It's just busy. It's not great. They don't seem functional. They're just kind of there. Everything's really stiff. I think in terms of the CG, it's fine. It's like if you use too much CG, I think what happens is you don't even notice it, right? So if I did a CG of me and I rendered the background, like it's unnecessary, right? I mean, I have the background to use. I guess they're just, my sense of it is some of the backgrounds are so just mundane, just like, I don't know, forest. Like you'd watch the show and not even realize that it's a CG, right? Like some of the castles and whatnot, instead of going to shoot in a castle. But like if you did that, you think they'd be saving money and not spending $1 billion. Like even the costumes are CG and they're awful. Yeah, that's awful for CG costumes. Ardent ESG score. The higher it is, the worse the product. Yeah, it's looking that way. But that they would make, and I get it, like they put all that money in the first season. Sure, they're just going to do and say anything they try to get their money back. Maybe this is part of that. Maybe they don't really intend, but I think they're already in production. I think they're already in pre-production for this, which means they have it written. I mean, that's the only way you can do pre-production. You have to have a script, or at least part of one. So they're doing it, a second season. You know, and that's money. They spent money. They had to have spent money on the scripts. They have to be spending money on contracts for the actors and more costumes and whatnot. I mean, how long are they going to do this? How much money are they willing to spend? And you got to figure too, they got to be saying to themselves, "Oh my God, we're getting creamed here. Well, let's at least cut back a little," right? So they're not going to spend more money. And the show, in my view, is this terrible on this budget. How much more terrible is it going to be when they start cutting the money? When it really turns into the CW. Like every scene's in like a soundstage in a cave. JEC, it's going to be another 2 years before the next season 2. No one will care by the time the next season starts. I guess that's a strategy. 2 years from now. All right, so it's going to be 2024. So this came out in the summer. So summer of 2024, you're talking. Will no one care? I gotta think the fans of fantasy will care, because the fans of the fantasy are the ones that are pissed off. And I gotta think any fan base they built on this show, people whose bar is so low that they think the show is good. And I'm sure some of those people exist. Oh, it's okay. I like the Harfoots. I like the Elves. They're all right. Whatever fan base, maybe they're just banking on the same thing I was talking about last night when I was talking about comedy, that there's so few comedies. We're thirsty for comedies. Maybe they're just banking on there'll be almost no fantasy shows, or none, like by the time 2024 rolls around. I meant to, no one will care enough to watch. Yeah, that's what I think. But maybe they're I'm trying to figure out their logic. Maybe they're banking on such a dearth of, such a lack of fantasy programming that people go, well, there's nothing else out. Although there is other stuff. I mean, there's the Vox Machina show, which isn't bad. And the other thing is they're competing against Lord of the Rings, because Lord of the Rings is out there, still around. You can still watch it. It's a great watch. I love watching Lord of the Rings. I can watch that. I don't like to put it on because it's long. I like to have, if I have a lot of time, I'll watch it again. Or if it's like a group thing, we're hanging out, oh, let's watch Lord of the Rings. That's like a fun 9 hours. Arden, LOL, all the funny writers have been run out on rails for fear of offending one group or another. Can you imagine trying to get Blazing Saddles made today? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. I think a lot of the funnier writers are the guys who, they've either ruined themselves with wokeness or allowed themselves to go, okay, I got to just neuter myself so I can keep collecting a paycheck, which is a terrible strategy in my view. But I know of at least, I'll say one, I don't want to say who it is, but I know of a comedy writer, and I think he's gone completely woke, and it's sad, because he is very talented. And I don't think he's talented anymore. He's gone woke. And he's not going to get his mojo back. Not anytime soon. He's also serious now. It's important to be in the resistance. It's a shame. So many talented people ruined. Bezek, with $1 billion you could find some 99-cent Kindle wrote fantasy rubbish and make a better show. Absolutely. Yeah, you could have I mean, there's so many books out there, fantasy books, tons of them. Now, they're not all good. They're certainly not all Lord of the Rings, but they're fine. They're perfectly functional fantasy stories that you could have followed. But you know what? Most of them aren't woke because they were written years ago. Or even the last 5 years. A lot of them aren't going to be woke, like this woke. And, it's like the old saying they keep putting in the comment section, evil cannot create, it can only corrupt what exists. Ardent, well, look at Jim Jefferies and Frankie Boyle. Yeah, these guys used to be the Andrew Dice Clay types of Zero F's given comics, but now they have neutered themselves to pander. Yes. Frankie Boyle, yeah, I don't really know his work, but I've heard the Lotus Eaters talk about him every once in a while. Jim Jefferies, I've seen it, and it's, I got into Jim Jefferies for a while. I started watching his stand-up, and like, oh, he's pretty good. And I watched his FX show. I thought that was fun. And then I watched him totally F. Avi Yemeni. Avi Yemeni is, well, he's now a reporter for Rebel News. Back then, he was more of an activist. He's an Australian Jew, and he was doing YouTube videos about the immigration in Australia and why he thinks it's too much. And he videotaped himself, and you can look this video up. It's amazing. He knew he was getting an interview with Jim Jefferies, because Jim Jefferies is Australian, for his show, his political show. And he knew Jefferies and the Comedy Central guys would basically screw him, and they did. And he taped it all, and it's amazing to watch. Ardent, if you get the chance, check out Frankie Boyle's Mock the Week clips from Brit TV. Oh yeah, I still resent what Jim did to Avi. Yeah, it's disgraceful what he did. I will never ever support Jim Jefferies for that. That what he did to that guy, it should be criminal. He should serve time for what he did. He basically tried to ruin the man's reputation. And Avi said, "Don't make me look like a bad guy from Germany." And he's Jewish. He's a Jewish man, a very devout one, who wears the yarmulke and the whole deal. They tried to make him look like the bad guys from Germany. Bezek, surprised they haven't redone Aragon series as woke. Would be pretty easy, but that movie was abysmal compared to the books. And I still want to hurt the author for the series ending. JEC did the same for your boy Zach. Yeah. Yep. I remember that too. Disgusting. I wish both of them had sued the bejeebus out of Jim Jefferies for all his money. But, I mean, it's hard to sue people. It's not easy, and it's not a great process. Bezek, I'm Aussie, and I never remember Jefferies being a Chad, anti-2A, anti-rights cuck. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think he was Chad. I thought he had some funny bits. I liked his FX show because it was about a poor, dopey guy out in the middle of nowhere, and they did some wild stuff. But it looked like it looked like if Jefferies had, say, broke in the 90s, he would have just been like any other comic. Ardent, I need to read those books, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's just disheartening. But hey, I'm all about going for the non-corporate stuff. Even with like, oh, looks like Truffle took back her bed. Are you sitting on top of Joan, Truffle? I hope you're not sitting on top of Joan. Joan was in there earlier. JEC, it's Avi has a dual citizenship with Israel. Oh, right. He served in the Israeli military. Strange, he's the one complaining about immigration. LOL. Yeah. Bezek, Avi is a good boy and has really been doing the Lord's work down there in the extra-tyrannical parts of the country. Yeah, and I'm curious. I haven't been following Avi in a while about that certain medical procedure. I'm curious if he somehow avoided it. Ardent, R.I.P. Ted White, 96, played Jason in Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Oh, what? He just died? Well, he's 96. Or do you mean the year 96? Not surprising that legal immigrants dislike illegals, though, at JEC. Yeah. From Ardent. Yeah, that's the big problem the Democrats have. Now I'll get political, because we're going to have to start to wrap soon. The Democrats, they've screwed themselves, especially down along the border, because their immigration policy is just crazy. Yeah, Friday he was 96, says Arnott. Oh man, well, it's a good run. Got to give him that. I mean, almost 100 years. You get to be 96. That's a pretty good run. But it's a shame. But yeah, the Democrats have screwed themselves, because you can only imagine how angry you'd be if you spent years doing the arduous legal process to become a U.S. citizen or Aussie citizen or dual citizen or whatever, and then somebody just blows in and then starts getting all kinds of money and essentially just gets what you get, after you do all the work and they don't. JC, I follow Rebel News because it's mainly based in Canada, so I see Avi's post on that. JC, he died on Friday the 14th, ironically, that for Ted White. Man, how old was he when he played Jason? I guess he would have been, that was 40 years ago, so I guess he would have been younger. Wow. Yeah, I'm getting old too. It's scary to think about. Anyhow, moving on to Deadline. I don't think there was anything here, but let me just check it real quick. Why the January 6th committee hearings were just as riveting in the room as they were on television. That's funny. That is a funny statement because it's basically true. They are insanely boring and not riveting at all, but they are just as riveting in the room as they are in television, I'm sure. WNBA star Brittany Griner releases not a main concern, Russian heir declares. I guess it wouldn't be. She's a basketball player. Yeah, not a main concern. I mean, look. Ardent, just as riveting is a fair assessment. Exactly. Yeah, she shouldn't have brought her pot into a foreign country. I mean, you had to know. Yeah, oh, I'm going to Russia. Oh, I think I'm going to bring my pot. I'm sure it's fine. Wouldn't you ask somebody? Wouldn't you do a Google search? JC, who are they trying to fool? It's pathetic. Yeah, I know. It's really pathetic because they think because they Ardent, she's a drug smuggling idiot. The Hollywood thinks, and the Democrats think because they run, well, they have great influence in Hollywood and media, they think they can just keep astroturfing this. And to some extent it used to work. But it used to work back in the day when they had a certain amount of credibility, when they were nuanced about their stuff. Like, you know, back in the 80s. Back in the 80s, this stuff would work all the time because you said, well, the Democrats, they're not that bad. And they weren't. They were generally respectful of people of religion. They might disagree, but they would go to church. They would say God bless and all that kind of stuff. JC, don't bring drugs into a country you're at war with. Why would you even go to begin with? I don't think that was before the war when she went, right? I don't think we were at war. I don't think it was before the invasion, but still stupid. Just idiotic. You wouldn't do like one Google search. Can I bring pot to Russia? Ardent, when they had credibility and not everyone could do an instant research from their handheld computer. Yeah. Yeah, back in the day. I mean, a lot of people don't really understand that now. As the years grind on, they just don't understand. Like, Ardent, pre-war, I think, yeah. It took forever to research something. If you read something in the newspaper, JC, I thought it was a bit after it started. Might have been. It was right around the same time, but I think it was pre. I mean, somebody can look it up. Either way, I mean, it wasn't exactly like stable on there before the invasion. You know, they had incidents. I don't remember exactly. I thought it was before, like just before, but it might have been just after. It definitely was right around the similar time. But you know, these guys, they think they can control the media, and to some extent they did. You know, if you wanted to dispute a newspaper count or even just something you saw on TV, there's only one way to do it. You'd have to go to a library. You'd have to start looking through old newspaper microfiche. Maybe check out a book and read the book on the particular subject. But it wouldn't be current. It wouldn't be current stuff. Like, it would all be old stuff. You know? And so, how would you really check the news that just happened? You really couldn't do that until People wrote about it months, weeks, months, and years later. Then you could go back and say, aha, here they lied to us. This wasn't this bad. This is the way it was during, I would say, the Kosovo War. People started to make noise around me like, oh, you got to get to the antiwar.com site and read about the Kosovo War. It's not what you think it is. And I did, and that's how I started my journey into the libertarian side. And but that took time. It took so much time, and I wasn't like, that wasn't like my main thing. I was doing other things. So it's like, eventually it started to dawn on me, like years of starting to read that stuff. Like, wait a minute, these people are lying to us. Now it's like, oh, these people are lying. Now you just go to 5 different websites and sort of check the news. And the Democrats are the old guard, and this is the disadvantage of being the old guard. You're still in the old mindset. The problem with the Republicans I'll say in like the early 60s to late 60s and beyond, they were stuck in a mode where they weren't TV savvy. They poo-pooed TV, and they were more proper and, traditional, and they would just do traditional things like the old ways. And it took them forever to get up on, what television could do for you. They used it, but they were bad at using it, and they didn't use it to its full potential. Whereas the Democrats were always on top of that. They were always very optics savvy back in those days. But now they've had so much success, and they have all their chips in the television newspaper basket. They avoided the internet, as did their TV media mogul idiots when the internet was new. No, that's just a fad. No, nobody's going to stop watching TV. And now they are. So they're scrambling to take control of the internet and try to get a handle on it. Meanwhile, the Republicans, the new Republicans, have made their bones on the internet. They run things that aren't like, aren't the big tech stuff, right? They're the cool guys. Like in the 60s, the cool guys were the lefties because TV was new, man. I'm doing investigative journalism, man. Now, the deep state influenced newspaper and TV, but they couldn't do it all. It was too big for them to do it because they were working with paper, phones, landline phones. Their influence was slowed by the technology as well. So they couldn't control it all. Now it's easy in a internet technology to control newspapers, radio, and TV. Now it's easy. You send out the emails, like everybody get on the same page. Look at the WikiLeaks emails, right? Speaking of media, how they set up meetings for Hillary Clinton's people, the campaign, to meet with every major newspaper outlet in the mainstream media in 2015-16, before the election got going. Over 2 days, they had it all arranged at a hotel. If you look at the WikiLeaks thing, and literally every major news outlet except, I guess, Fox wasn't there. And some of the figures, like George Stephanopoulos was there, I believe, who's a Democrat. I mean, he's just a Democratic guy. He worked in the Clinton administration, but now he's in media because now they just have a revolving door, right? Jen Psaki just went to MSNBC. Total commie in my view. And I thought she was so terrible as a press secretary, and now they actually managed to promote somebody worse. I mean, I'm getting off track. Sorry, I'm rambling. But my point is, like, now the Democrats are the ones who can't change. They're slowly trying to change, but it's not working. Because they're the guys at top, like Nancy Pelosi, who's way too old to be doing this. She doesn't understand the internet. There's no way she understands it. She kind of knows it. Same thing with Biden. They're just too old. They don't get it. They've never had to really use it. To them, that's some new thing. They kind of use it, but they kind of don't. They need their assistants and mavens to actually do that work. And because of that, and then there's the rare exceptions like Trump, the master of Twitter, the master of trolling. He put the time in to figure it out. And these other guys just have it. They're just like, no, just do it. It's just like TV, I'm sure. I'm sure it's very similar. It's not TV. You can't do it like TV. You can't do the internet like TV. TV was always controlled. When you went on a TV show, there was a press packet. There were people that you talked to. You had complete control of it, over it, essentially. You knew who you were dealing with. You were dealing with professionals. And you were only dealing with so many of them. There was ABC, NBC, CBS. That's basically it. Oh, and then Fox came along, and there's a few little guys out there, but they're unimportant. You just wanted the major networks, the major newspapers. Anybody else, that's just gravy if they get on board too. And those guys outside of those mainstream outlets, they had to get on board just to get a story where you could just say, no, we don't talk to you. No, thank you. No, we've had enough interviews today. We just talked to the New York Times and the Washington Post and the LA Times. We don't need your little newspaper or TV show or whatever. We can't grant you an interview. I'm going on Letterman tonight. Well, actually, it usually wasn't Letterman. It would be Jimmy Kimmel or whatever these days. But now they own, essentially control TV, newspapers, radio to such a degree it's painfully cringy honest when you watch them that, oh my God, Stephen Colbert is so embarrassing now. He just, everything he does is an embarrassment. He's nearly as embarrassing as Biden. Did you see him the other day? He actually had Fauci on. Walking around doing a bit with Fauci. Now he's doing bits with Fauci. Disgraceful. He should be making fun of that little elf. That little elf who should be in prison. Who should be tried in The Hague. I think him, a bunch of others, ought to be tried in The Hague for what they've done. But I can't talk too much about it on the YouTube. But I can on other channels. And that's a great thing about the internet, right? I do this here, and then for the spicier stuff, you got to go to Bitchute, Odysee, and Rumble. It's not ideal for me. I'd rather just do it all on here like I used to, but hey, it's a system. I could still get my wacky political views aired. I could still ramble all I want about this or that. The forbidden topics on YouTube. It's not perfect, but it's there. But, oh boy. Boy, did I get way off track. Bezek, Fauci, why, when's he retiring as well? But why? He's retiring at the end of the year, is my understanding. Or he says. Maybe he'll backtrack. I can't tell you why you would have him on the show. Maybe they're lining up for one last hurrah to do, oh my God, COVID's back. Ardent, LOL, we're all getting sick of YouTube, aren't we? Yeah. Subbing to your Rumble now. Oh, thank you. JC, it's coming. Alberta just ran their premiere out on the rails and installed a libertarian who's said she's firing all the province's health officials. Bravo. Man, I feel so bad for the Canadian people. But on the upshot, it's looking good. Your new potential premier, PM, Prime Minister, he looks like he's on track to take it from Trudeau. Thank God. Thank God you'll be rid of Trudeau. Ardent, you're welcome. Bezek, summing to Alt Tech 2. Thank you. Woo, go Alberta. Yes, indeedy. Alberta's like the red state up there almost. Your red staters are in Alberta, right? Isn't that the deal? Because they're out in the middle of nowhere. Oh my gosh, there's somebody new. I can't pronounce this. Sifa. Dear leader. Hello? JC, Prime Minister. Yes, Prime Minister. I knew that, but I said Premier for some reason. Maybe because I consider Trudeau a communist. Trudeau is the reason I stopped watching Family Guy. It really is. That 2-part Trump episode where at the end, spoilers, Justin Trudeau saves Trump and Peter Griffin, just disgusted me at the time. Disgusted me so much, I stopped watching Family Guy after that episode. I cannot say that guy's name. Polivier, you mean? Yes. He's the new head of the Conservatives and likely Trudeau's opponent in 2025. I hope you get him. He sounds at least slightly based. Sifa. Not a real name. Don't worry, sir. Well, welcome. JC, the middle provinces of Canada are pretty based. Oh, good. Good. I mean, it's like, I guess it's sort of like the Midwest here. That's where all the based people live, I guess. Well, down south to a degree. Although it's weird because, like, North Carolina, they've been pushing that blue. Virginia nearly went totally blue. Now it's coming back. But, man, it's such a slow struggle to get you out of the blueness. It really is. Ardent, Alberta, and the Prairie provinces, the most American part of the country. LOL pronounced Paulev. I will call him based Prime Minister. I don't know. What's his first name? I'll call him by his first name. I know this. I bet he hasn't done blackface. I'd still prefer Maxime Brenier to get him in with the PPC, actual Conservative Party, says Arden. Yeah, I don't know that much about Canadian politics, other than I can't stand Trudeau. And that, you know, country-wise, they're very, you know, they're very European in, I think, their approach, it seems to me. But then again, I haven't been to a lot of Canada. I went to Montreal. I've been to Toronto. JC, we need election before 2025. Trudeau's going for the total WEF agenda 2030. Yeah. Ardent, just call him Pierre. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's right. His name's Pierre. JC, Maxime is a WEF phony plant. Uh-oh. Yeah, man, these WEF guys are everywhere, aren't they? It's insane. Those are the guys, I mean, I'm hoping, you know, after this election, things finally grind to a halt for the Democrats, and then maybe the Republicans can push back as hard as they can. I don't expect a tremendous amount to change, other than, you know, them kind of holding the line and kind of pushing back. My hope is that a red Congress might, you know, at least get the drilling going to some degree. At JC's from Ardent, we won't get another federal before the deadline. Singh is backing Trudeau. One commie scratching another's back. He's really not. But let's argue here. Oh, no. Let's not argue here. Oh, okay. Yeah, you guys, I am totally lost in the WEF, whether or not there's a plant or whatnot. I will say this, though. Just because someone's met with the WEF doesn't mean, I mean, somebody are saying Trump's a WEF plant just because he met Klaus once. So, I don't know. But, could be. They got their fingers in a lot of pies. Pierre is an Alberta guy who was adopted by French parents. That's why he has a French name. Oh. Pierre. Let me just make sure there's no other headlines here. That's Jack Harlow. I've never heard of this guy. Joyce Sim dies. Singer on Come Into My Life was 63. Do I remember that song? I don't really remember. No cause of death given. Another one who I wonder if she had a certain medical procedure. But 63, I mean, it's not a spring chicken. Not spring chicken. There's Bill Murray faces avalanche of new accusations. I'm going to get back into Bill Murray. I got to wrap this up soon. It's almost, I don't know, it'll be going 2 hours here. At JC, cool. I didn't know that from Ardent. JC, I don't think Trudeau is going to be able to make it to 2025. Yeah, he really ought to be removed from office, but man, the Canadian system is. Ardent at JC, ideal outcome is Pierre as PM, Max as loyal op. Yeah, this is, if you want to get up on the Bill Murray accusations. A new report from Puck this week alleges Bill Murray has paid a $100,000 settlement to a much younger female crew member on being mortal. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. The production of which Deadline first reported in April was being suspended due to a complaint made against Murray for inappropriate behavior. Sif Sifa. Klaus of WEF said in a conference that more than half the Canadian government has been infiltrated. The words may have been different, but nice to hear from Gnome's mouth. Oh, boy. Yeah, it's a lot of... It just feels like a pile-on. Oh, yeah, Gina Davis. She said he was nasty to her and insisted on using a massage machine on her and later screamed at her on the set. Bezek, would be nice to have a government that isn't blatantly acting against my interest for once. Yeah, that's everybody's dream. Ardent, when did Murray start acting? Willing to bet the change of era is indeed catching up with him. God, I mean, it had to be in the 70s. I mean, SNL was 75, 74, so probably shortly before then. He was pretty young. JEC, they're doing hearings into trucker convoy. They might kick him out for calling a state of emergency and beating on the protester. If that doesn't get him, the provinces are starting to revolt. Good. Glad to hear it. That his behavior during the trucker convoy alone, to me, was just shameful. He's just a shameful man. I wish you all the best in removing him from power. And then I think what you really have to do is you have to, when you get Pierre in, I think you have to lobby hard for a process that would be much easier to remove a prime minister. And I think you have a shot at getting it too, because the commies would then want that, because then they turn it on Pierre. But I think Pierre would be popular enough that that wouldn't be an issue. So, Murray's first acting credit is 1973. Yeah, that sounds about right. Murray's was the second SNL crew. So, yeah, the 70s. So, yeah, Gina Davis, some crew member he allegedly paid, but who knows if that's even true. Davis said in a book she was made uncomfortable by Murray's behavior on a dual interview they did on Arsenio Hall, which included Murray trying to pull down the spaghetti strap on her dress as she spoke. I guess. I don't know. That one seems nothing. Sifa. Castro needs to go out, but don't hire CIA to do it. Ardent, we need to get rid of the first past the post and bring in electoral college so the cities don't run the country. Yes, that too. They're trying to get rid of the electoral college here. Fortunately, it's not going to happen. JEC, it's easy enough to call election in Canada. We've had stretches where we had 4 federal elections in 3 years. Wow. Can't imagine that. That would be a nightmare here. We were calling elections that often. As much as I want Biden gone. Rob Schneider claimed Murray absolutely hated the cast members when he came back to guest host. That much I know, I think is true. I don't think he hated them, but I think he saw them as not being very good. He hated us. He hated us on Saturday Night Live when he hosted. Absolutely hated us. I mean, seething. I mean, Chris Farley was pretty dopey, I think, in the article I read. I talked about in my Hollywoke hot take yesterday. He hated Chris Farley with a passion, like he was just seething looking at him, Snyder said. I think that's an exaggeration. But I do like Snyder these days. I didn't like him when he was on the show. I thought he sucked. Making copies. But after hearing the stories about Rob Schneider behind the scenes, I now am a huge fan of Rob Schneider. I really am. Ardent, at JEC, they've changed the system to minimum every 4 years, and Trudeau is going to make it last as long as he can for green WEF-UN agenda. Ardent, anyways, gang, great stream, but I gotta go. Yeah, I gotta go eat too. And then Seth Green was the other one I talked about earlier. All right, on that, I hope Bill Murray survives this, or his career, rather. So I'm going to wrap it up, gents. Thanks for tuning in. I got to go check on the doggies, make sure they're not killing each other. They seem pretty quiet. I got some treats for you guys. Yes, I do. So, thanks for tuning in. Great stream. Sif Sifa, Rob Schneider turned out to be based like him in the Gigolo film. Liked him in the Gigolo film. Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of based. And he's kind of a fun guy. And like a lot of people, he got off of Saturday Night Live and became funnier. I think a lot of guys, I mean, I think since probably the 80s, probably after the Eddie Murphy, Joe Piscopo era, it's just... Sif Sifa 07. Hollywood ain't my baby. He was here the whole time. Thanks, Tony. Good to see you, buddy. And Bezek, have a good one, Tony. Catch you later. Catch you later, everybody. And check out the regular videos later.